Hey buddies, walk and talk with me. Let's talk and walk while I ramble about a topic that's been kind of tipping on the corners of my mind for some time. Thought about this over the years in my journey on this planet, and I feel like in light of recent events, my last video even kind of covered a bit about it, but I want to cover insecurity and how I feel like our insecurities impact our growth and our development in life. I am feeling a lot better. I feel like this sinus congestion, has been lingering for such a long time. I don't know if it's the climate and the weather transitioning, but I don't feel as congested today, which is good. But I want to talk specifically about operating in insecurity, functioning through your insecurity versus just having insecurities. I feel like to be human is to have insecurities. And the reason why this topic is coming up for me is I did post about relationship tropes and some of these trends and how they impact society and people's choices on how to create dynamics in relationships, friendships, family relationships, intimate relationships. And I touched a bit on the Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens story. And one YouTuber that I watched, her channel's called The Queen Maker. She's very entertaining, but man, she was grilling Jonathan Owens, grilling him, just highlighting how insecure he was and how dangerous his insecurity was, and dragging him. And I felt so bad for him because although I agree with a lot of the social commentary about the dynamic of their relationship and how he didn't seem to really humble himself, I guess, in a sense, or show that he really loved his wife, and how the interviewers of the podcast kind of poked fun of him. I don't really like to say that. I don't think they poked fun of him. I think they were kind of just jabbing him a bit, like that kind of sportsman-like, she called it bouncing on him. They kept bouncing on him, bouncing their pita whackers on him, which is just so derogatory in my opinion. But I feel like they were just having this kind of light banter with him, and it unfortunately might have brought out his insecure side, which made him ego trip a bit, just to kind of showcase that he himself feels that he, as an athlete, is worthy to be with somebody like Simone Biles, which he doesn't have to prove that to anybody. But the reason why this triggered my memory and my experiences with insecurity is I'm first generation. I've mentioned that in possibly one of my past videos. And being first generation to West African parents who raised me in the East Coast, I noticed as I got older the level of insecurity that my family projected onto my brothers. And it was a lot of fear of just the unknown, of wanting us to grow up and be safe and to be smart and to be independent. But instead of creating an environment where we were allowed to be expressive and open and vulnerable, it was very militant, and it was very aggressively demanding that we follow a certain path in order to be independent. And it didn't really have the effect that I feel like my parents wanted. There was a lot of fear mongering in our family. It was a lot of, don't trust anybody, trust your family. Without family, you have nothing. You can't trust your friends. That was the type of energy that I grew up around, which is super, super toxic. But that's what they felt like they needed to do in order to protect us. That kind of paranoia ran rampant in our family. It wasn't until I left my home at a young age to create and find my own identity. That's when I realized the importance of finding your own security. And that's when I realized that the entire world deals with insecurities. You can have an insecure moment. It doesn't mean you're an insecure person. I think it's important to realize through your own journey and your own identity the importance of managing and processing your insecurities. Anybody can have insecurities, but there's a difference in operating in insecurity. And I think that's something that I've witnessed through different relationships and friendships are my friends who know that they're just human, just like the rest of us, that know that they have moments of confidence, they have moments of insecurity, and understanding that having moments of insecurity can happen to anybody, and that it's perfectly okay. It's just part of human nature. That's how we are by design. But when you have insecure moments, that's when it's important to get in touch with who you are, embrace that, and know that it's just a moment and it doesn't define you. Versus people who operate in insecurity, who can't stand on their own, who experience codependency because for them, they can't see past their insecurities. It envelops them where they are completely consumed by it, and in turn, all their choices, all their decisions that they make are a reflection of their insecurities. I think that's something that we saw in that interview, and I don't want to highlight him too much because I feel like the internet has already dragged him enough, but it even made me think of other news stories like the Keke Palmer and Darius situation. They seem to both be in a really toxic situation where they are experiencing and bonding through their mutual insecurities, and that to me is a very dangerous type of relationship. I think it's easy to succumb to that when you, again, aren't fully confident in yourself. And confidence in yourself doesn't mean you're not going to have insecurities. It just means that you recognize that you have strengths, you have weaknesses, and that it's okay to process that, to go through your journey, and to embrace it. Don't let it get the best of you. Don't get stuck in your head. Don't think that you're the only person going through it. And those are things that challenge us and challenge the people who recognize that they have insecurities versus people who operate in their insecurities, people who get consumed by their insecurities to the point where everything they do is a reflection of just how fragile their ego is. They're not able to make choices that reflect their confidence, that showcase, hey, I might not be fully aware or knowledgeable or in the know in this situation, but it's okay for me to just sit back to observe, to kind of acquiesce, and then make effective decisions based off of what's happening in my environment. And I think that is a challenge that we all face. When I left home at an early age and I started to find my identity, I definitely dealt with a bit of codependency because, again, I had that insecurity of trying to figure out who I was outside of my family. But I was determined to, because I knew that through my journey, I was going to learn so much. And that's another important thing I think to realize, is that insecurity a lot of time is just lack of knowledge. It's just lack of awareness. And to be open and receptive to learning new things from your peers, your environment, and then to be empowered by that knowledge, that helps you to build self-esteem, that helps you to build confidence. And that's why I even mentioned before, meditation is so important. It's so important to tap in and realize and know who you are. But over time, I was able to break out of that codependency. I was always, I feel like, innately a very independent person, but my insecurities did lead me to make, insecure choices. And over time, I mean, it's still a journey. I'm still going through, this thing called life, but I feel like I've learned so much and become more independent and have appreciated the humbling of life and realizing how much there is to learn and how much the knowledge that I've gained has impacted me. So with that being said, I also wanted to just kind of touch quickly on this idea and concept of seeing these celebrities and the things they go through, and how some people get so caught up in their lifestyles, their choices, to the point where they almost become enraged by, or they become so influenced and impacted by what they see their favorite celebrities going through. And I think there's a difference in watching somebody's experience and taking notes and applying things that you see that are positive, that are not, and that kind of reflection, versus getting so influenced by somebody's choices that it impacts you to the point where it starts to affect your emotions. And that's something that I don't think is a healthy thing to do. Everybody is going through their own journey, and unfortunately for people in the spotlight, their journey is under a magnifying glass, under a microscope. But it's important for, I think, the audience, us, general public, to separate ourselves from these people and their lives and their choices, because it's still their life. It's okay to see somebody going through something and being like, that's not something that I want to experience, or that is something that I admire and I admonish. But we need to be able to separate our experiences and our journey from other people's. Life is all a learning lesson, and I think with time through this journey, we all can add to this journal of life and share experiences, because that's part of human nature and community, is creating shared experiences, but also respecting everybody's individual journey. So I just wanted to leave you guys with this. And I hope that you guys receive it. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. I would love to hear more about your experiences with insecurities and what you have witnessed or seen through life. And please like, guys, comment, subscribe, share. For me, this is a lifestyle and a community channel where we can all add some of our influence to and create just a better community and a better life for each of us.